Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer Jonathan Bean. The NFL is steadfast in our commitment to inclusion, which only makes our league stronger. This is the same NFL that's just fine with other political statements like Black Lives Matters on players' helmets. But praising your wife is a bridge too far. Noelle Fitchett is here, host of Out of Context with Noelle Fitchett, podcast and writer from the Remnant News. Good to see you. Thank you. Look, Benedictine College, Atkinson, Kansas. No one would cover the speech by the Kansas City Chiefs kicker had he not said these things. Why is this one message so, triggering, threatening to a group of people?
You know, I think it's so wild that it's insanely triggering to lots of people. And I think that's because, had Harrison praised a corporate boss babe or praised women for pursuing some type of career, then it would be fine. There wouldn't be any more traditional women condemning that. But because he praised a more traditional role, because he praised the role that God has designed for women, that was met with so much backlash. And it just shows where we are in a society where we don't value motherhood.
I think there's an interesting point here, right? And I think we're getting there, but I want to tease it out a little bit more because there's a difference between telling women your place is in the home and celebrating women who choose to be in the home, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's exactly what he did. He never told anyone that they couldn't. He never said to drop out of school. He never said to quit your job. He just praised his wife for the role that she had stepped into and how that's
hold on. Just to be fair, I agree with you with the first soundbite 100%. But there was another section of his speech that I think may walk up to the line you're talking about. Take a listen.
Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother.
Okay, so do we just chalk this up to advice from somebody about life that happens at graduations?
Yeah, most of the audience in that college campus and during that graduation were Catholic, which tend to be more traditional, which tend to be more conservative. So he was speaking to his audience, and that's why, a lot of the women in that crowd, more than likely, their goal is to be a mother and to be a wife. And so he was speaking to his audience.
Fair enough. And I think you're right when you say conservative values are under threat and under attack across America, and conservatives tend to attack less and just want to be left alone, progressives the other way. There was an interesting response to this by none other than Whoopi Goldberg on The View. Take a listen.
I like when people say what they need to say. He's at a Catholic college. Yeah. He's a staunch Catholic. These are his beliefs, and he's welcome to them. I don't have to believe him.
Right.
I don't have to accept them. The ladies that were sitting in that audience do not have to accept them. Same way we want respect when Colin Kaepernick takes a knee.
Right.
We want to give respect to people whose ideas are different.
What do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely love that she said that. I think that's so important. I think it's a tragedy that we as a society have reached a point where we can't respectfully agree to disagree. I mean, there's a change petition going around trying to get him kicked off the NFL. And that's absolutely insane that someone is trying to kick him off purely for praising his wife and expressing his values. When, like she said, Black Lives Matter, other issues, that never happens for those types of issues.
Fair enough. On all points. Interesting where this is headed, especially with the NFL, who now is seeing this enormous rise in audience with women. 58.8 million women watched the Super Bowl this year. 56% of women and girls in the United States say they're fans of the NFL. I'll give you the last 20 seconds. Do you think this changes that?
I don't think it does. I think that most of the people that tend to watch the NFL probably do lean a certain way. But ultimately, I am a woman with 3 degrees. I have a career, but I do aspire to be a mother and a wife. And so I think that ultimately we can have our values and still enjoy sports, and we don't have to tie the two together. We can disagree, and that's okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, nice to be able to disagree and to accept people who don't agree with you. Noelle, thank you very much. I appreciate the perspective. It's good to see you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.